We don't normally go live on a Saturday, especially when we're in the middle of the All-Star break. I'm about to groom myself and convert from the homeless hobo that I present in my image to something a lot cleaner, like the man next to me, Kevin Danna. That's a sharp-looking dude. That's a professional. He's the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors and even sometimes the Golden State Warriors. Great to see you, brother. It's been way too long since Kevin Danna has been on the show. I think this is your debut with Golden Days, actually. And we're talking Warriors. We're talking Kevin Knox. We're going to have a good time. Let's get into it. This is the Golden Days.
They always find something to nitpick, and that's because there's expectations for us to win. It was a pretty crazy night.
Let's go.
In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up. Come on and break me off. 'Cause I get what I want and I like what I see. If you got
the hand, Kevin Danna on the world. Hey now. Welcome to the Golden Days. I'm one of your two hosts for the afternoon. Kevin Danna is joining me. You can follow him on Twitter at Kevo408, the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors and sometimes the Golden State Warriors. Speaking of the Warriors, they made a move. They got Kevin Knox on board. We're going to talk about that and so much more in a brief, yet what I imagine will be a information-packed, analysis-loaded episode of Golden Days. And we have sponsors to take care of. We've got a new one coming early next week. I'm going to bring up in just a moment because I'll tease it. It's all about Humboldt. Humboldt is sponsoring the program. My former alma mater, they used to call themselves Humboldt State University. Now it's Cal Poly Humboldt. But we're going to be talking about them in a little bit. In addition, did you know that, Kevin?
I did not know that.
Yeah, I saw that perplexed look on your face. Yeah, they did it about 2 years ago. I'm still blown away over that decision. So we'll be talking about that in future shows. But for today, giving some love here to Underdog Fantasy, one of the 3 official sponsors of the program on this afternoon. Use the promo code GSW for your chance to get a free pick and up to $1,000 in a welcome bonus. Kevin, I know you can't bet on the NBA. Does that include daily fantasy? Are you restricted from touching that as well? You're muted.
Yeah, I can't do daily fantasy. Can't really do anything, unfortunately. Like I say, my retirement plan, when I retire, is to gamble on any and every sport that I possibly can. But hopefully that's like 40 to 50 to 70 years from now. I plan on being here in the 22nd century. Hopefully I'd be 113, but hopefully years like 90 through 113, I'm just gambling away my entire inheritance / will, what I would be giving off to future offspring potentially. So they have nothing.
I love it. I'll be right next to you if you need a partner in crime for that. My vision is the audience will watch you and I grow old and go through transformations physically. That's the plan. We'll see. We'll do our best to make it work. But download Underdog Fantasy. It's super fun in terms of higher and lower than totals for individuals. Today's episode brought to you by Dr. Tom Rosanelli. Kevin Danna, you're safe from needing to reach out to the doctor, unlike folks like, I don't know, LeBron James, who has had that treatment among many individuals, and even Hall of Famer Rick Barry, who comes on the program each week. And if you mention Rick Barry's name, you will get a $500 discount coinciding with the 50th anniversary of the Warriors winning the title in 1975 and Rick Barry winning the finals MVP in 1975. Call 415-931-9881 or visit Rosanelli.com. Again, 415-931-9881 or visit Rosanelli.com for a free consultation. A beautiful head of hair awaits you. And last but not least, BetOnline, the world's most trusted betting platform. Yes, you can bet on the All-Star game, you degenerates. Go check out BetOnline. The game starts here. Kevin Danna is available again on Twitter. You can follow him at Kevo408. It's been too long, brother. How has the season been treating you before we get into the nitty-gritty?
Yeah, the season's been treating me well. Cy, thanks for having me on. Excited to be back on Golden. Well, I can't say back on the Golden Days. I believe this is my first
we
time.
get it. We get it.
But yeah, Santa Cruz is 11-7, more just a smidge past the halfway point of the G League regular season, and so That's pretty good for where they are because Kevin Knox hadn't played the last few games. He'd been dealing with a slight ankle injury. He's good to go now. He was held out of the last game. I wonder why. I don't quite know. Things I may or may not be able to talk about. And, of course, I must say, as an employee of the Warriors, nothing has been official with any potential signing, but Kevin Knox has had a great year in Santa Cruz. Quentin Post has had a great year in Santa Cruz. And Quentin, I'm sure we'll probably talk about him. But, yeah, I know I'm kind of blabbering at the mouth, but, it has been a good season in Surf City.
You're not blabbing. Every word coming out of your mouth is fine, is professional. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, Kevin, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass and saying this because I think the first time I told you was when we barely even knew each other. You are legit, my friend, when it comes to broadcasting. Like every once in a while, you'll fill in for Tim Roy. I don't know if you ever filled in for TV. Have you? Have you done the Bob Fitzgerald fill and roll?
So I have filled in for Bob Fitzgerald, but not on Golden State for USA Basketball 4 years ago in Olympic tune-up games in Vegas in 2021.
And it wouldn't surprise me if you did TV someday. My point is, dude, the first time I heard you filling in for Tim Roy, I didn't know who you were. I just remember listening to this, and you know me, man. The audience knows me. I don't hold back when it comes to critique, when it comes to analysis. And you, brother, I'm hearing that going, that's someone that if Tim Roy hangs it up someday, like I'm happy with that dude filling in. Like that is a legitimate broadcaster, and just bravo. I just want you deserve. Thank you. You're sometimes the voice of Golden State. Again, I'm never been shy in admitting this. My dream is you and I for the next 20 years doing this, where I'm covering the Warriors on this platform. You take over for somebody who retires. I'm not gonna even insinuate forcing anyone out. Those two are legends of what they do. But someday we all will hang it up, man. We're gonna retire, and when that happens, I hope you're the guy, dude. And I hope you and I are doing this for a very long time. So with all the buttering up done of the legend of Kevin Danna, Kevin Knox, you brought up that it's not official yet. I think largely because they're going to give him a 10-day contract, and the dates of these contracts are really important when they coincide with the salary cap and staying underneath it. The Warriors are going to be doing a lot of interesting gamesmanship with 10-day deals, with various maneuvers to get below the 14-man roster, because I think the Warriors have 28 days allotted where you can do that, where they're going to go below, they're going to go above. The point is, Anthony Slater is who reported that Kevin Knox is going to be signed by the Warriors. I believe it's going to be a 10-day deal. And I'm excited, dude. I've talked to you behind the scenes a lot about him. So my information about Kevin Knox is largely based on your analysis. But what can people expect, dude? Let's start first with Kevin Knox and this year in Santa Cruz. What have you seen from him as a member of the Santa Cruz Warriors? Because the numbers are damn impressive. We'll talk about that in just a second. But what are you seeing from Kevin Knox in a Santa Cruz Warriors jersey, and how is that going to translate to the NBA?
Yeah, I mean, he's been dominant in Santa Cruz. Now, his last game with the Sea-Dubs, he came back and for one game, and the Warriors lost by 45, and so it wasn't a great. He just got destroyed. And so he had 16 and 9, which for him is a bad game because he's been averaging. I'm going to go off on a little tangent here, Cyrus. Here's my PSA. So Anthony Slater said something about Kevin Knox G League averages. His numbers were correct, but they were the tip-off tournament. And
I made the same mistake. I made that same mistake in the original numbers I posted. And the reason why I think Slater did that too is because when you go to Kevin Knox's G League stats on the website, the default display is the tip-off tournament.
Exactly.
I never even heard of that. Continue on. I'm sorry. I just wanted to.
That's your numbers are not wrong. They're correct. But this is the problem with the split season, is that the stats get messed up. We've done it for 4 years now in the G League. I've been kind of shouting from the hilltops. I think it's time for just one continuous season in the G League so we don't have this kind of issue, because Kevin Knox has actually averaged more than 21 points and 8 rebounds per game, better than those numbers, because in the regular season, he has put together a really good season. He actually was leading the G League in scoring in the regular season at 26 points per game before his last game. And then he kind of fell off because he missed some games, so he didn't hit the minimum of a percentage of games played. But, yeah, those are the numbers right there. that Cyrus has on your screen. I mean, look, he's an automatic mid-post post-up in the G League where he just back to the basket. He's going to bury smaller defenders. He's not going to do that in the NBA most likely, but he really moved well without the ball. He really improved as like an off-ball cutter to get to his spots and really defended well within the team concept. I missed that last Kevin Danna comment. What did it say, Cyrus?
You're at the free buffet at the Gold Club right now because of the music behind you. You're actually at Chase Center.
Yeah, I am at Chase Center, folks.
Yeah,
so I'm in section 260. So yeah, I'm running stats tonight, so that's why I'm doing this from here. We tried to do this like an hour ago at the Moscone Center, but it was just demasiado ruido, too noisy. So that's why we're here. But yeah, I mean, he's been really good. You see that the shooting 39% from three. I do not have any single dollar bills on me, people. But yeah. But yeah, no, Knox has been really good in Santa Cruz. And I've been saying like the last 2 or 3 weeks, why is this guy in the NBA? Or why is he in the G League? Actually, he was working out before our game on Thursday, before Santa Cruz game on Thursday against the Stockton Kings. And I came up to him and said, I hope you never play another game here in Santa Cruz. You shouldn't be here. You're an NBA player. Thanks for everything you did. He's very appreciative. Good dude. Yeah, he was a really good team guy with Santa Cruz this year. So really, he's had a great year in Santa Cruz. And that's what I could say about Kevin Knox officially.
Well, I'm going to ask you a lot. I'm going to ask you questions just to get some more information here. But it's a side note. Apparently, Chase Center moonlights as a strip club on off days. Bad joke. But the music and the beats are funny, man. But that is Chase Center. You're going to be doing stats for tonight's slam dunk competition, skills challenge, 3-point
I don't
contest.
exactly know what stats I'm going to be passing out. He made a dunk. He missed a dunk. I don't know. It's just to get into the building.
So how often but a side note, how often are you collecting stats for regular season games? I know you don't do it often, but you do get called sometimes to be the stat keeper, correct?
Yeah, I do it a couple of times. So what I usually do is I do stats for road radio crews. By usually, I mean like once or twice a year. Usually it's like when the Clippers are in town, sometimes when the Mavericks are in town, because those crews, A, I know their radio guys really well, and I really like them, so I want to help them out. And B, like not every radio crew requests stats. So the few that do, and when I'm able to, I try to help those teams out. But it's not often.
Well, and I hope when you're filling in that role, you're also helping Stephen Curry out, maybe adding a little assist here and there. That's one of the subjective things.
So I'm actually not like doing stats for I'm just passing the stat. The
oh, gotcha.
guys,
Okay, you're not the official.
Okay. Run.
Are you? You're helping you're helping the broadcast
for Golden State.
Well, I bring that up because whoever handles that, assists are one of those stats where there is a little gray area there in terms of how you define it. As John Stockton, there were quite a few games where the assist numbers were pretty damn high. Michael Jordan, the year he won Defensive Player of the Year, there was some debate about his steal figures that season. So my point is, when Kevin Danna is doing stats, unfortunately, it's not for the NBA because otherwise you might see Stephen Curry getting the kind of love that other players get. Kevin Knox, the stats that are on the screen right now, and I'll read these out loud for the podcast audience. This is a combination of the tip-off tournament and the 12 regular season games. Do you think that's the most accurate representation for stats?
100%, because it takes every game to an account. And okay. That's why I have a problem with these split seasons, because people can cite 3 different numbers. They can cite the regular season stats, the tip-off tournament stats, and the regular the full season. And they'd all be right, and they'd all be different. And it's like we gotta streamline.
Yeah. In the tip-off tournament, I'm guessing they're trying to emulate the in-season tournament, right? Except it starts at the very beginning. And Kevin Knox, so these are his numbers for the podcast audience. He's averaging 32.6 minutes per game, averaging 21.8 points per game, shooting 49.5% from the field, excellent, 38.9% from 3. Excellent. I added that that's based off 6.4 attempts per game. So the sample size is solid, man. Like he's putting up over 6 3-point shots per game and hitting nearly 40% of them, 8 rebounds per game. From the free throw line, a stat which is important given how much the Warriors are struggling this year, 75.9% from the free throw line, and also added the 2.4 turnovers because it is relevant. It's not all gold and perfection here. There is a little ding, but you can live with that. I think those are fantastic numbers. A lot of people have concern about the Warriors and size. And Mike, I'm still a little worried. Like the Jimmy Butler trade, from the moment it happened, I was elated. I was throwing a virtual party on the show about it because I could see the fit, man. And I could see the fact that Stephen Curry having a superstar alongside him is going to produce damn good results. So people forget the greatness of Steph, dude. It's wild to me how people just write him off the moment you see a dip in production or you see just a regression and any kind of productivity. It's just immediately people like to jump on. He's getting old. It's over. No, dude, this guy, he's one of the all-time greats, man. Do not rule Stephen Curry out. So I love this team with Jimmy Butler. Love it. But I'm a little worried about super large teams, like let's say the Nuggets, let's say the Cavaliers, if the Warriors get to that point. How is Kevin Knox as a big to you, man? Like, can he handle the other big boys? I know he's a former number 9 pick. Can he play defense against NBA centers? What are your thoughts about Knox battling bigs in regular season games?
I can't say I saw Kevin Knox defend a ton of fives in the G League, mainly because Santa Cruz liked to play with a 5-man out there basically at all times, especially when Kevin Knox was healthy and available. And so my knee-jerk reaction would be to say if he were to get a call, if he were to make it back to the NBA, and of course this is the language I have to use, I would not put him on a 5. I would be curious to see it. And again, the way I watch the game for play-by-play, broadcaster eye is kind of like how a monkey watches the game, but I can't remember him guarding a ton of 5s, and I could be wrong on that, but normally he was playing with a big, so I just haven't seen it. Now maybe against some, like I wouldn't put him on Jokic personally, but yeah, that's the best I could answer that. But I haven't seen a sample size, and he has a wings body. He is a little taller, but he's got the game of a wing. Like,
interesting.
Okay. He will back down. Like I said, he'll back down smaller defenders, and he'll do it very successfully in the G League. It's another thing to do that in the NBA, and we'll see. I mean, this guy did average almost 13 points per game his rookie year in the NBA. So, like,
right.
He did score it at not like a horrible volume. Like he was all rookie his rookie season with the Knicks. So, yeah.
What do you think happened? I haven't studied Kevin Knox's history enough to know this answer, and maybe you don't either. But I'm curious if you do. What happened with Kevin Knox? Like, why did he get to this point where he had to spend almost an entire season in the G League to be invited back into the NBA? Because this guy was a former number 9 pick, and like you said, he had a good rookie season. Like, what happened from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, and I don't have the answer to that. But I would say, like, look, when he was with the Knicks, they weren't like the best run organization. And so like I could easily see a rookie kind of falling through the cracks, right? Or not a rookie, but a younger guy, even after like one good season, like pieces get shuffled around and then he's moving from team to team, doesn't find a fit here, doesn't find a fit in Atlanta, doesn't really find a fit in Detroit or Portland, that kind of thing. And then like it was a good chunk of this season. And then like the last month plus of last season as well, he was with the Rip City Remix in the G League. And you know, sometimes GMs just get it in their mind that this is who a guy is. And if we've seen what a guy is, and you know, this guy had huge expectations, and you know, the number 9 pick to aim assist point. You know, there are high expectations. If you're on the New York Knicks and you're the number 9 pick, you know, maybe 13 points per game isn't good enough. And,
right.
But he wasn't always at his numbers dipped after his rookie year, and so I think people give up on young guys way too soon. Like Kevin Knox is 25. He hasn't reached his prime yet, right? Like he's probably 2-3 years away from being at the peak of his powers. And so he's better now. I guarantee you Kevin Knox is a better player now than when he was averaging nearly 13 points per game in the NBA. But he was making he was making what, 3, 4, 5 million then. He's making like 118,000 this
Right,
year
right.
before he get, on a G League contract with the Exhibit 10. Like, it's not linear in the NBA. That's the unfortunate thing for a guy like Knox. And so, hoping that Kevin Knox is a guy who can get another chance in the NBA because he has certainly deserved it.
Again, the numbers from what he's done this season in Santa Cruz, coupled with what you've seen in your analysis, makes me intrigued, brother. I'm very excited to see him in a Warriors uniform. And I think there's a lot to what you said about the Knicks and the way they were run, the way they were coached in those years that Kevin Knox was there. Times for the Knicks were bad for decades, and Kevin Knox was a part of that. So maybe there is something to that in terms of Knox. And look, like you said, he's 25. Not everyone progresses at a linear pace. Not everyone progresses at the same rate, right? Some players immediately catch fire, and they're just are stars from the get-go. Some people take some time. So we shall see what happens. Another player who played for Santa Cruz and he's now with the Warriors is Quentin Post. I've been loving his play, period. I know he's a rookie, so you're not going to get a consistent production, a consistently solid nights from him on a day-by-day basis, but he's showing some good stuff out there, man. I part of me wishes he was starting no matter what. Steve Kerr has implemented 33 different starting lineups for the Warriors this season. So, you'll see Post one night, you won't the next. What are you seeing with Quentin Post, man? Do you think he should be starting consistently? Do you like the way his minutes have been used at the NBA level? What are your thoughts, brother?
I didn't expect him to play this much this year, so anytime he gets out on the court, I'm happy. He made the one game I did this year for Golden State at the Clippers was his NBA debut right after Christmas. And I thought he'd be a guy, usually Trace Jackson Davis aside, usually late second round picks. Like the last number 52 pick they had was Onyeka Kuzma, right? And he's a guy who never really cracked the rotation for Golden State. So those are kind of my expectations, is like a guy who's going to get garbage minutes in the NBA, at least for the first couple of years of his career. But Quentin Post he was really good his last 5-6 games in the G League. He was very solid to start the year, but his three wasn't going. He was low to mid high 20s from three in Santa Cruz, the first 8 to 10 games. And the shot always looked good, but it just wasn't going in. It just takes some time for rookies to adjust to the new 3-point line. Or I guess, that's what we say when a guy isn't shooting well his rookie year in the NBA, or the G League, getting used to that line. And then just something clicked for him regular season, which starts in the G League at the end of December after the showcase, where he really started to find the range. I want to say in the regular season he was mid to high 40s from three, something like that in the G League. And then it just translated over, and you could see it because he just had, even when he wasn't shooting well, he just has this confidence about him. He's going to put that damn thing up there, whether it goes in or not, but you just have faith in his shooting capabilities. And he's had a couple of clunkers with Golden State, but he's had a lot of good games as well, and he's produced a lot more. So to answer your question, I don't think you can commit to Quentin Post being a starter every day. I think it has to be a matchup kind of thing, like what Steve is doing right now, just because there are some teams where you need Draymond to guard the five, right? To spend most of the time on the fives. And, Quentin, he has done better defensively than I thought at the NBA level to start his career. There are questions about, all right, is he going to be able to move laterally enough? And there have been times where he has had his troubles defensively in the NBA for sure. But, there's been other moments where I'm like, all right, he's holding his own. He's standing guys up. He's walling people off. He's getting some tough rebounds. He's got a little nasty to him, and that helps him with the physicality as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What I'm seeing from Post, and correct me if I'm wrong, and we got to wrap it up here in just a second. Sorry for the short show today, folks. Better short than nothing. I really wanted to get Kevin's insights on Kevin Knox, and we got that. Thank you, brother. And what I'm seeing from Quentin Post is, in a lot of ways, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is just my opinion on it, is the same growth that we saw with Kuminga, where you'd have nights where you'd see Kuminga realizing, oh, if I assert myself, I can do pretty much whatever I want out here. But that confidence grows in a young player, and everyone's different. But some players, the confidence is not there from day one, where you have that belief that if you just assert yourself and you just use all your force, nothing can stop you. There are moments with Quinton Post where I feel like he feels that way. Like you see it with certain 3-point attempts. You see it with attacks to the rim where he's just like adding this extra oomph, if that makes sense. And then there's other possessions where he just kind of looks a little timid and he's trying to fit in. And that's just something that young players grow through, right? Is that a fair assessment? What anything you want to add to that? If we still have you. It's all.
Am I still? Oh, there we go. It wasn't unmuting for some reason. No, that's a fair assessment for sure. I think confidence goes up and down for young guys, right? And I think there have been times where he looks very confident when he shoots it, but like if he has missed a couple, there are times where you've seen him kind of pass it off, look for someone else. I think that's just kind of part of it. I think generally more often than not, though, he's shooting that thing, and that's what Golden State needs. They have seen. And I know, like, some fans rolled their eyes when Quinton Post made his first NBA three, and Steve Kerr said, "Oh, this is what it looks like to have a floor spacing 5 or something." I know there were some Warriors fans that were kind of banging their head against the table or something like that. But, I mean, it does give them a nice look, and Steve wasn't wrong in his assessment. And look, I like the look it gives. It's not a look you can obviously go 48 minutes for, but to just spruce things up, definitely.
And like I said, there are moments where you just can tell watching him play that he realizes, oh yeah, I'm an NBA player. I belong here. There were just some 3-point attempts for whatever reason. He's not hesitating. There's just no thought. He's relying on instinct. He's putting those threes up, and there's nothing but net. It just looks and feels so damn good. And if that becomes a consistent thing, man, the Warriors are set for a long time. Let's leave the show with this, Kevin, because I know you got to run. You're doing stats for the All-Star game tonight, and we'll have you back on for a longer show soon if you're cool with that. Your assessment of the Warriors, man. We're at the All-Star break. There's, I believe, 27 games remaining. I'm very optimistic, brother. I feel good about this team. I still have some question marks, especially with teams like the Nuggets. I think that's the ultimate litmus test for this team, is whether or not they can beat a front court of that size and talent. But what's your assessment of the Warriors with 27 games to go, brother? Are you as pumped as I am? Are you a little more skeptical? What are your thoughts?
A lot more optimistic than I was 5 games ago.
Hell yeah.
I was not as high on the Jimmy Butler trade as you. Then I saw it in fruition, and then I saw what they gave up. I'm like, all right, this is a pretty good deal.
Yes.
And then B, I watched them play the Chicago Bulls. C, I watched them play the Milwaukee Bucks. D, I watched them play the Dallas Mavericks. And E, I watched them play the Houston Rockets. And yes, I am on board. And my goal for them is 47 and 35, be a game better than last year. That means you have to go 19 and 8 the rest of the way, which they do, I believe, have the 3rd easiest remaining schedule in the Western Conference. So, I mean, that's a good record to have. I mean, that would be still be tough, but like it's doable. I think you got to beat Sacramento and Dallas right out the gate. You got to set that tone. And I would love to see this team get to the second round of the playoffs and have a puncher's chance from there. I think this team is definitely a playoff team, though. And I would not have said that before. I think this team is for sure, whether it's through the play-in or getting into the top 6, I think they are for sure going to be one of the last 8 teams remaining in the Western Conference.
Yeah, and that Rockets game to me was a really a big statement win, because ordinarily you would not see Steph, Dre, and even Jimmy Butler playing the second of a back-to-back, especially after a brutal loss like that with the minutes they put in. But they knew how important that win was. And imagine how disastrous it would have been if they lost that Rockets game. They knew the stakes, yet they went in there all in, and they won a game they had to win. I thought that was huge, man. To me, that was a statement win. I don't know if you feel that game carried the same profound importance, but I think it did. I really do. I believe that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially because they lost the Dallas game. Like 28 and 27, I think, like if you finish 3-1 your last 4, you're good. But if you had gone 2-2 and losing your last 2, especially if you had blown a 24-point lead in Houston, it would have been no bueno. So yeah, that was good. And I'm sorry to have to dip out of here, Si. But
okay,
thanks
man.
for having me.
Yeah, dude.
This
No,
was
we're
a lot
done.
of
We're
fun.
wrapping it up. We're done. Kevin, people can follow you on Twitter at Kevo408. They can listen to all of your broadcasts on NBC Sports Bay Area. You cover the Santa Cruz Warriors. You sometimes cover you're sometimes the voice of the Golden State Warriors. Love you, brother. We're going to wrap it up right now. Have a great call tonight, and we'll see you again soon. All right, man?
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Cyrus.
Thank you, brother. Thanks, everyone. We'll be back soon. Bye.